I am the true heiress of the prestigious Carter family who was found and brought back. After returning, I constantly compete with the fake heiress. Once again, I forced my husband to suppress his younger brother and pressured my son to win the piano competition. Suddenly, I saw some live commentary. The antagonist really knows how to make a mess. She doesn't know how to enjoy her wealthy and leisurely life, her loving husband, and obedient son. She only knows how to compete with the protagonist. Don't worry, in the end, her son ends up in jail, her husband goes bankrupt and is deeply in debt, and to avoid implicating her, he meets a tragic death. That's when she'll behave herself. I hope that time comes quickly. She doesn't realize that her son has already gone astray because of her. The reason he won the competition was by locking the protagonist's son in the restroom. No wonder he ends up in jail in the end. So, I am the counterpoint to the fake heiress in this rich girl swapping trope story. Seeing this, cold sweat broke out on me. At this moment, my son was holding the first prize trophy from the piano competition, presenting it to me. I've brought the trophy back. I'm better than Lucas. Can mom be a little happier now? An 8-year-old child, speaking with a face full of flattery. To verify if what I saw in the live comments was true or false, I gently asked, "You locked Lucas in the toilet, causing him to miss the competition, didn't you?" Zoe immediately turned pale. "I didn't, Mom. I didn't mean to." The mop fell over and jammed the door. I just chose to ignore it." His eyes were red, unable to speak but still feeling guilty. He ran to the study, fetched a ruler, and obediently held out his palm. Seeing him like this, I couldn't hold back anymore and hugged him tightly. I know my child is a good kid. He ended up like this entirely because of me. Winnie and I were switched at birth as infants. It was discovered during a high school physical examination. Not long after, I was taken back into the Carter family. I thought I would finally lead a good life. Never did I expect this to be the beginning of my narrow-mindedness. Winnie's biological family was an ordinary working-class household. Aside from basic living needs, they had no extra resources to nurture me. I was compared to others everywhere and fell short in every aspect. My parents' disappointment, the servants' disdain, all made my mindset increasingly unbalanced. Thus began my relentless competition. Winnie got engaged to Jasper, the second son of the Taylor family. Using my parents' guilt, I insisted on marrying Kevin, the eldest son of the Taylor family. After marriage, Winnie gave birth to twins. I disregarded my health and pushed for a second child. Her husband joined the Taylor family company, so I pressured my husband to suppress his younger brother. Her son learned piano and was hailed as a piano prodigy. I forced my son to neglect his studies and focus all his energy on the piano. Jasper bought jewelry for Winnie, so I quarreled with Kevin demanding something even more expensive. I failed to see my son's depression and my husband's helplessness. My life seemed to revolve solely around competing with Winnie, until I saw my family's ending in the live commentary. Suddenly, tears slid down. They dripped onto Zoe's hood, making him panic even more. "Mom, I'm sorry. Don't cry. You can hit me. I'll go and apologize to Lucas. It's my fault." Zoe used to love playing with his older cousin Lucas, but back then, I always scolded him. I berated him for intentionally upsetting me by playing with the son of the person who ruined his mother's life. I never hid my hatred and rivalry against Winnie's family in front of him. This led him to unconsciously start resenting Lucas. Live commentary. Actually, we can't blame Zoe entirely. He didn't do anything wrong. If I saw someone I disliked stuck in the restroom, I wouldn't want to help either. People say kids at 7 or 8 are annoying, but Zoe seems to have completely skipped that phase. Only loved children have the luxury to be mischievous. Look at Nancy and how she loves him, considering him nothing more than a tool to compete with the female lead. No, that's not right. I touched Zoe's little face and said, "Mom knows it's not your fault, all along. It was Mom's mistake." In a while, having opposed Winnie for so long, suddenly saying I'd take my child to apologize was a bit difficult, but Zoe indeed did something wrong. I was really afraid my child would end up as the live commentary predicted. Before I could prepare myself mentally, Kevin came back. Seeing both Zoe and me with red eyes, he frowned and asked, "What happened now?" My marriage to Kevin was somewhat forced by me. Over the years, he has been very tolerant of me, fulfilling my every request, but every time I asked him, it was to compete against Winnie. Gradually, he grew colder towards me. Now, he doesn't even sleep in the same room with me at night. Just earlier, I learned that he might end up bankrupt and meet a tragic death because of me. I dared not speak. Seeing my silence, Kevin's expression darkened momentarily, but he said nothing. He simply picked up his briefcase and went upstairs. Come to think of it, Kevin is quite charming, I'm amazed. Can the antagonistic female lead ever look back at Kevin? She obsesses daily over the female protagonist. Does she even realize she's in love with the heroine? Nancy doesn't know that Kevin loves her. She always thinks that Kevin resents her for forcing him to suppress his younger brother. Actually, if Nancy just smiles, Kevin would brave any danger for her, let alone trivial matters between children. I blinked. I truly don't believe Kevin loves me, although he has always listened to me. Most of the time, it's just him being unable to endure my tantrums, especially after Zoe was born. We've been sleeping in separate rooms, but seeing what the live commentary said, I decided to give it a try tonight. To improve our lives, repairing family relations is essential. For the first time, I spent an entire afternoon without obsessing over Winnie's social media updates. Instead, I did some crafts with Zoe. He asked me if he should apologize to Lucas. I thought for a moment and said, tomorrow. Mom will personally take you to apologize. Let's settle things with Winnie once and for all. From now on, I only want to live my own life well. I don't want to repeat the fate described in the live commentary. Hearing this, Zoe gradually rested his little head on my shoulder. Mom is so nice today. She didn't hit me, nor force me to practice the piano. He whispered softly. It feels like a dream, thinking back. To make Zoe surpass Lucas. I would hit his palms whenever he missed a note on the piano. Then Zoe would continue to play with swollen hands, silently shedding tears. No matter how hard he tried, people would still say he was no match for Lucas. Just like me, if you don't like it, Mom won't force you anymore. Zoe shook his head. Thank you for lying to me, Mom. Tomorrow, I'll practice the piano diligently. I'll make you proud. This scene looks quite heartwarming. Hey, I don't believe the female lead has changed. It looks like manipulation, beating before giving a sweet treat. When will the female lead realize that her son's talent isn't in piano but in art? Seeing this, an idea struck me. Zoe, what you truly love is art, right? Zoe's eyes lit up for a moment, then quickly dimmed. Lucas didn't study art. A pang of sadness hit me. I almost turned my son into another version of myself. There is no Lucas, Zoe. From now on, you don't need to compare yourself with anyone. You can do whatever you like, of course, except for breaking the law. In the evening, Kevin's dinner was delivered to his room by the maid for him to eat alone. After putting Zoe to bed, I put on a long unused black lace nightgown. I sneaked into Kevin's room. As Kevin came out after his shower and sat on the edge of the bed drying his hair, I crawled out from under the covers, hugged his waist, and whispered in his ear, "Honey." He suddenly turned around, grabbed my wrist, and pinned me down. "What do you want now?" I rubbed my leg against his waist, my intentions clear. His gaze darkened. But as I actively wrapped my arms around his neck, he abruptly stood up and sat on the edge of the bed, turning his back to me. I still have work to do. Go to sleep first. What about his supposed love for me? He's still kicking me out. While I was utterly confused, the live commentary started chiming in. It's pretty obvious. Feels like the male lead is about to explode. Still quite big. It's okay. He's used to it. Nancy used to seduce him various times for a second pregnancy despite the doctor explicitly advising against it. So, Kevin had to sleep separately. After suppressing it for so long, he's gotten used to it. Quick. Say something. Can't they have a happy ending? What is there to say? There's no misunderstanding between them. How many times has the female lead pulled this stunt before? This time is probably no different. Just earlier, I thought she had changed. So that's how it was. With my pride, every time Kevin rejected me in the past, I would storm off angrily. But this time, I gritted my teeth and decided to take the initiative once more. I leaned against Kevin's back and nuzzled affectionately. Seeing no reaction from him, I wrapped my arms around his waist. My hand also slipped inside his bathrobe, tracing down from his abs until nearing the destination. But just before reaching it, he firmly stopped me. "Kevin, I want you. I got a vasectomy." Both sentences rang out simultaneously. Kevin and I both froze. Oh no, it feels like they're about to have a falling out. Kevin's had a vasectomy. So Nancy can never surpass the female lead in terms of having kids. I heard the female lead is even planning on having a third child. Wait, did I just start shipping them? Is this right? Keep giving birth. All your good fortune will be gone. In the end, the male supporting character tragically dies, and the female supporting character recalls all the past events, suddenly realizing who truly loved her. Isn't this also a form of regretful pursuit? In the past, I might have gotten really upset, but now, I've let go of my competitive feelings towards Winnie. Besides, childbirth is such a painful process. I'm not competing anymore. Thinking this way, I gently stroked Kevin's tense back and said, actually, I don't want to have any more kids either. One child, Zoe, is enough for us. But next time, something this big, you need to discuss with me. Kevin raised an eyebrow, looking at me incredulously, but he still responded with a yes. I looked back at him calmly. The atmosphere suddenly became intimate. They say that beauty looks better under lamplight. Upon closer inspection, Kevin's face is truly bewitching. I silently lamented that I used to live like an NPC. I never paid attention before. Uncontrollably, images from the barrage comments appeared in my mind, and my gaze involuntarily dropped, then quickly shifted away. Kevin's breath gradually drew nearer. Are the words Nancy just spoke still valid? He tentatively placed a kiss on my lips, then, as I muttered calling him an idiot, he captured my lips, breaths entwined, lips intertwined. He turned his head slightly, panting softly as he nibbled on my earlobe. Help me take off my glasses. My fingers trembled slightly. Barrage comments. Damn, why did the screen suddenly go black? What scene can't we VIP SALT members see? Do it, do it. They get so intense when they start, losing themselves completely. Stop shipping them. There are many tragic points ahead. You don't really think the female supporting character has changed for the better, do you? Don't forget she's about to set up a huge trap for Kevin. Can those with ulterior motives just leave already? Early the next morning, Kevin kissed my forehead before leaving for work. I was sleeping deeply, instinctively rubbing my itchy forehead. Kevin thought I was awake and seemed to ask me a few questions. Annoyed, I turned over, muttering some sort of response without even knowing what I said. In that half-asleep state, I completely missed his self-deprecating smile. When I woke up and saw the barrage comments, my heart sank. Talking in your sleep is not a good habit. The male supporting character's fragile heart is shattered again. He must have thought last night's tenderness was just to use him. No, they exchanged questions and answers for a while. Who would have thought the female supporting character wasn't even awake? It's alright otherwise. But Kevin asked right before leaving if the female supporting character insisted he reject Jasper's proposal, and she agreed. It's over. Jasper has long been unhappy with Kevin's suppression, and he'll sell the proposal to a rival company. The rival company's new product will be a hit, marking the beginning of Kevin's downfall. Alarmed, I quickly called Kevin, but he didn't answer several times in a row. I was so worried that I changed clothes and rushed to the company, downstairs. Zoe was sitting at the table eating breakfast. Good morning, Mom. Dad went out. Yeah, I know Dad went to work. Stay here and wait for Mom to come back. There will be an art teacher coming this afternoon. But Mom, I couldn't bear to listen to Zoe finish, gave his forehead a quick kiss, and rushed out. I ended up bumping into Kevin, who was entering with some things in hand. While helping me rub my forehead, Kevin rubbed his chin. Zoe looked exasperated. I was trying to say that Dad went out to buy you buns. You didn't even let me finish. Kevin, only you would do this. Washing underwear in cold water. First person in this story. First, she uses me and gives a self-deprecating smile. Then, she gets her favorite crab buns, standing in line to buy them. Alright. She uses me more energetically after being well-fed. I felt a bit sweet inside but remembered the matter of the proposal. I hurriedly explained to him that I wasn't fully conscious in the morning and had agreed to everything in a daze. In short, I won't compare myself with Winnie anymore. Handle company matters officially. Kevin showed no sign of surprise. He acknowledged with a sound, without mentioning the proposal again. He simply asked if I desired anything recently. I found our interaction mode somewhat strange, but I couldn't pinpoint what was off. I shook my head, casually. I told him about the scuffle between Zoe and Lucas yesterday. I'm thinking of buying something and taking Zoe along to apologize this afternoon. Winnie's family lives with Taylor's parents in the old house. They must already know. It's better to apologize sooner than later. After hearing this, Kevin nodded and said he wanted to join us. Aren't you having a meeting at the company this afternoon? Your matters are more important. I don't particularly enjoy visiting the Taylor family's old house. There are too many rules in high society. Every word and action needs to follow etiquette. Having grown up freely, I find such an atmosphere suffocating. Initially, I tried to adapt, but not long after marriage, Kevin took the initiative to move out with me. Since then, apart from holidays, we rarely came back, At this time of day, Taylor's parents were at home, after exchanging pleasantries for a while. Winnie finally came down from upstairs looking haggard. She seemed surprised that Kevin accompanied me, paused briefly, and gracefully stated that although Lucas fell ill because of it, it didn't matter since we're all family. The female lead originally planned something big, but the female supporting character beat her to it. Ha ha ha, all for naught. Her son faked being sick. It's fine, our female lead isn't one to suffer losses. She immediately retaliated with something big later. Sure enough, Winnie brought up the collaboration between the two families' projects. As the project leader, I fear I'll have to trouble Big Brother quite a bit. Kevin glanced at her and said company matters should be discussed at the company. Winnie smiled and said nothing more. When seeing us off, she deliberately lagged behind me by half a step. The first prize in a piano competition, Lucas has won many times. Letting Zoe win this time is no big deal. Just like how Nancy always falls short compared to me, I often let you win too, like mother, like son. In the past, I couldn't stand such remarks. When angered, I'd even publicly scold Winnie, but this time, I just smiled. Then I'll let Kevin give in a bit at the company and stop holding back on proposals. Seeing Winnie's face instantly darken, I quickly stepped forward and held Zoe's little hand. In the afternoon, when Zoe sat down at the piano to practice, the art teacher arrived as expected. I beckoned him over. He blinked. Mom, am I dreaming? Did you really not lie to me? I haven't lost credibility to this extent. Just try it out and see if you like it and have a talent for it. Zoe's eyes sparkled as he gave me a big hug. For the entire afternoon, he studied theory and practiced drawing lines. I asked if he found it boring. He shook his head. It's totally different from practicing piano. It's like opening the door to a new world, finally. He still felt a bit uneasy and asked, Mom, do I really not have to compete with cousin Lucas anymore? I heard from my piano teacher that there's going to be a citywide competition soon. Do I really not need to sign up? I patted his little head. I felt like the old me was like a donkey with blinders on, not knowing how to play to strengths and avoid weaknesses. If you like art, study hard. In a couple of days, Mom will take you to an art exhibition. Mom, you're so nice. Will you always be this nice? No, if you fail your math test next time, I'll still spank your little butt. Before bed, I habitually opened my social media, seeing Winnie post a wall of trophy photos and hint that she had signed up for the citywide piano competition. I smirked and scrolled past. Then I turned over and felt the empty pillow beside me. Kevin said he was staying late at the office today and wouldn't be coming home. I'm not suspicious that he's fallen out of love. I just feel like he's avoiding me, and for several days afterward, he used the same excuse, which confirmed my suspicion. Today, after taking Zoe to an art exhibition, I decided to drop by Kevin's office. Zoe pointed to the dessert shop by the street, his eyes twinkling. Dad likes cake. Let's buy him some cake. I tapped his little head. I see, you just want some, don't you? He chuckled. I still bought a few pieces of dessert. When we arrived at the company, it was nearing lunch break. I waved my hand, signaling Jack the secretary that I would go in myself. I placed a box of dessert on his desk. Jack's expression turned strange as he stopped me. Madam, Mr. Kevin is currently in a meeting. It's okay, I'll wait for him in his office. Mr. Kevin is having the meeting in his office. By now, I sensed something was off. Then I'll wait in the lounge area nearby. This time, Jack didn't stop me. I found a seat in the dining area and waited quietly. Most employees didn't recognize me. They chatted in small groups about gossip. The lady who came over this morning to coordinate is Mr. Kevin's wife. Right, she's so beautiful. She's the young miss of the Carter family. Of course, I heard that Mrs. Kevin hasn't left the office since this morning. I wonder if she finished her business or if, Mom, are they talking about Dad? Zoe's sudden voice interrupted all the gossip. Several employees looked over strangely. I wiped the cream off his mouth. No. Don't you remember Uncle also works at the company? The female supporting character is smart this time. One sentence explains all the gossip. No, how could the male supporting character lack moral integrity like this? I'm so mad. You'll get even angrier if you know what the female lead did this morning, when an employee joked that she was Mr. Kevin's wife. Note, Mr. Kevin. She just smiled faintly and didn't clarify. What a setup for the female supporting character. Switching to the female lead's perspective, oh my God, what is she doing? I picked up my phone and sent a message to Jasper. Then I closed my eyes and muttered softly. Zoe approached me with a puzzled look on her face. Mom, What are you saying? Don't get angry. Don't get angry. Life is like a play. Remember there are 3 stages of anger: sulking, being stubborn, and losing your temper. Sulking only hurts yourself. Being stubborn makes each other more hostile. Slamming the table and shouting in anger turns reason into unreasonableness. It's not easy living in this world, so don't ruin yourself. Being angry for a minute means 60 seconds without good fortune. Being angry for an hour means 60 minutes of foolishness. Being angry for a week harms your liver and spleen. After reciting it twice, I smiled and stood up. Mom, are you not angry anymore? I shook my head. No, I'm even angrier. Damn Kevin, what the hell are you doing in the office with Winnie? Perhaps sensing my rising anger level, Jack, the secretary, didn't try to stop me this time. He scrambled to call Kevin on the internal line, but I directly unplugged the telephone cord. When I pushed open the office door, Winnie glanced over and fell towards Kevin's arms with a file in hand, and Kevin, with quick reflexes, braced himself against the desk. The leather chair slid half a meter away. Winnie stumbled right at his feet. Zoe entered the office half a step behind me. Upon seeing this scene, he widened his eyes and exclaimed, Dad, are you trying to destroy our family? I helped Winnie up. Her calm demeanor instantly cracked as she nervously fiddled with her hair. Picking up the file, she walked out without a word. Jasper arrived and took her back to her office. Nancy, listen to me. What is there to explain, Dad? I need to have a man-to-man talk with you. How can you let Auntie fall at your feet? Is that right? Are you trying to become an emperor? Live comments. Ha ha ha. I laughed until I collapsed. I thought it was a cheating scene, but it turned out to be a comedy. You want to become an emperor. Ha ha ha. Zoe, adding chaos. In an unnoticed corner, the female protagonist looks awkward as if about to shatter. I left Zoe behind, grabbing some dessert. I turned and walked away. If you like sleeping in the company so much, you don't have to go home these few days. Kevin urgently tried to chase after me, but Zoe hugged his waist. Dad, I need to talk to you. You're behaving terribly. As I passed by Jack's workstation, I saw that he hadn't touched his dessert yet. I casually picked it up. He shouldn't eat it either. That night, Jack drove Zoe home. Where's your dad, Mom? Didn't you tell him to sleep in the company for the next 2 days? What to do? I feel even angrier. In my anger, I decided to spend some money to calm down. Using my parents' connections, I contacted several professional managers and told them I wanted to buy an art gallery. If they had any suitable ones, they could recommend them to me. Then I opened a shopping app. I shopped until my fingers went numb. Is this what plain yet wealthy people are like? Buying an art gallery feels easier than buying a cup of milk tea. I'm angry. I will sue this world with a loan. After watching this, I feel warm, so I'm on the grill. Damn it, I'll fight you rich people. By the time I finally calmed myself down and prepared to sleep, Kevin suddenly sent me 3 full screens of heartfelt text. He detailed the cause, process, and result of the incident. He said he knew I disliked Winnie, but the project with the Carter family had already started, and considering Jasper's involvement, he didn't suggest a personnel change. He originally didn't want to tell me, just wanting to finish the work as soon as possible. But that afternoon, Winnie brought it up herself. He had been working overtime these days to end the project early. He also didn't know why Winnie suddenly fell. Anyway, it wasn't him who tripped her. Do you think I'm such an unreasonable person? Yes, the female supporting character used to be like that. Her ears were like a radar for the female lead, going crazy enough to directly demand a personnel change from her parents. Supporting female character. Oh no, if you hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have noticed this detail. What cooperation between 2 families. No one cares about the bitterness of the female lead having to rush the project. Am I the only one who finds Kevin's explanation hilarious? Ha ha ha, it's not like anyone said it was him who tripped her. Maybe feeling that the dry essay didn't work. Early the next morning, Kevin sent me a meme. Peking cat, JPG. There's an auction the day after tomorrow. Can I invite my wife to come along? Something's off. Kevin never sends memes, and he only calls me wife in a hoarse voice when he's emotional. Where did the meme come from? Does my wife dislike it? Kevin, act normal. Let me ask again. Where did the meme come from? Jack the secretary gave it to me. He said the essay wouldn't work, so I should try being cute. Live comments. Jack the secretary. I never said that. Ha ha ha. The male supporting character is too sly. He obviously looked it up online himself. What to do when your wife is angry. How to please your wife. What is reverse cuteness? Does it work when men act cute? Who said this couple isn't sweet? they're super sweet. On the day of the auction, I still attended with Kevin. It wasn't because there was something I wanted to bid on, but the night before, I suddenly saw Winnie post 2 pieces of information about the auction, somehow. I felt she posted them on purpose for me to see. The live comments also said that this auction is an important plot point. One by one, the items were sold. Seeing that I didn't react, Kevin tilted his head slightly. If there's anything you want, just raise your paddle. Anything, anything, including that piece of land in the south of the city. The land in the south of the city was the main highlight of this auction. It was also Winnie's target this time. She represented the Carter family. While Kevin attended in his personal capacity, if I insisted on bidding for that land, once exposed, it would cost him a significant portion of his wealth. I looked at Kevin, and Kevin looked at me. After a long moment, he lowered his eyes and softly said, Kevin, do you know what you're doing? I know, but I want you to be happy. Oh my God, does anyone understand? This line, I want you to be happy, really gets to me. Before I die, I want to have a boyfriend like this. Sign me up for a love-struck boyfriend. My heart suddenly felt like it was heavily squeezed. In the past, I was like a ticking bomb on Kevin. Before I came to my senses, I didn't know how long he carried this bomb on his back. He might have known that one day he'd be blown to bits, but he couldn't bear to let go. As the auction drew near its end, the model of the land was displayed. Seeing Winnie raise her paddle, I quietly followed suit. The female supporting character is confused. This is the trap set by the female lead. The land in the south appears to be a prime location with guaranteed profits, but in reality, there are radioactive substances underground. Whoever buys it will suffer. Kevin is pitiful. In this auction, he lost a large part of his fortune and will gradually lose power in the Taylor family. I thought the female supporting character had changed, but she was planning something big. With each round of bidding, only I and Winnie were left competing. Kevin calmly played with my fingers throughout, until the final round. Winnie raised her paddle. I stopped following, live comments filled with question marks. Wait, huh? Why did the female lead end up with that land? Ha 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 ha. Although unexpectedly, the female lead fell into her own trap. Kevin looked up at me. Don't want it anymore. I never wanted it. It's just that she has been pushing me around too many times. Kevin suddenly smiled and reached out to pat my head. I slapped his hand away. We've been married for ages. What's with that? Leaving the venue with Kevin, we happened upon Winnie and Jasper arguing in a corner. You said it was foolproof. How would I know Nancy would suddenly stop bidding? You agreed to the plan. Now that something went wrong, you blame me. The Carter family doesn't need that land. It was just a ruse to provoke Nancy. There are radioactive substances underground. That land cannot be bought. As expected, it was a trap set for me. Since the land couldn't be purchased, Winnie could only regret the bid. Not only would it damage her reputation, but the penalty would be worth hundreds of millions. As their argument grew more intense, a loud slap was heard. Holy crap. Why did Jasper hit the female lead? The female lead stepped on a sensitive point, saying the male lead has always been jealous of his older brother, using her to deal with Nancy and drag Kevin down. Weakly speaking, does anyone remember the original character settings in the book? A calm and wise female lead versus a dissolute male lead versus a taciturn and unromantic male supporting character versus a vain and competitive female supporting character. Can I say that the dark sides of both pairs are their siblings, which is why they're particularly in sync? I tugged on Kevin's arm, signaling we should take a detour. At this moment, I wanted to preserve a bit of dignity for Winnie. On the way back, I was unusually silent. Kevin glanced at me. What are you thinking about? About Jasper and Winnie. I can understand if Jasper resents you, but saying Winnie resents me seems baseless. People always yearn for things they don't have. Would you too? Sunlight streamed through the car window. Kevin lowered his eyelashes and then looked at me. Not anymore. As New Year's Day arrived in the blink of an eye, we decided against returning to the old Tyler family estate. There were no calls from them asking us to come back either. Kevin had been raised by his grandmother when he was young, so his relationship with the Tyler parents wasn't much better than mine. Especially after Jasper's birth, when their favoritism became obvious. Previously, I'd always insisted on dragging Kevin back there just to compete with Winnie, but this year, my only wish was to ring in the new year peacefully at home. In the living room, Zoe joyfully ran around with her first-place trophy from an art competition. When I asked what reward she wanted, her eyes twinkled as she pointed outside at the snow and begged me and Kevin to build a snowman with her. We rolled the base around the garden 4 or 5 times until it nearly reached her height. She held up the head for Kevin to place on top while holding her up, but it slipped and broke in half upon hitting the ground. Pouting, she rolled an even bigger one. As the cold wind swirled the snow, Kevin lowered his gaze and adjusted my scarf tenderly. A playful snowflake landed on his lashes, making them flutter. Finding him irresistibly cute, I couldn't resist leaning over to kiss his cheek. He paused, then smiled gently. "Mommy, you're sneaking kisses with Daddy. I saw you. Shame on you," Zoe teased, covering his eyes with splayed fingers. I patted his head and joked, "Should Mommy give you a kiss too?" Laughing, he replied, "Nope, save my share for Daddy." Zoe declared it our first time building a snowman together as a family of 3. He called the nanny over to take a group photo. Comments overlaid, "Why are you taking screenshots? Don't just stand there. Ah. So happy. I declare this the perfect ending." "No way." "Hey, tip from someone who's seen ahead. More fun stuff is coming your way." Perhaps standing in the snow for too long got to me because I started feeling cold. Back inside, I warmed myself with several glasses of wine, forgetting my low tolerance. By the time I realized it, my consciousness had blurred. Pinching Zoe's cheek, I slurred, "Kevin, why have you become so small? Can you still be my husband if you're tiny?" "Wah, Mom, it's me." "Zoe, you're drunk," he corrected. "Oh right, you're my son." Then pointing at Kevin walking over, I exclaimed, "Son, how did you grow up so fast?" Kevin told Zoe to rest early before carrying me back to the bedroom. Leaning against the bed, I shook my head groggily. "Kevin, I really like you. Do you like me?" As he wiped my face, he responded softly, I like you." Tugging off my sweater, I pouted. "Then why aren't you kissing me yet?" Drawing closer, he leaned in. But I pushed him away playfully. "Not like that. Go change into a suit. Don't be silly. Go on, go. I want to see you perform that kneeling pose in a suit. I'll reward you." Raising an eyebrow, Kevin returned in a suit. I stepped onto his shoulder, sliding down slowly. Just as I neared a crucial point, he suddenly grabbed my ankle, pulling me into his arms. Then came a deep, heated kiss. Overwhelmed, I tried to pull back, but he pressed firmly against the back of my head. Comments overlaid, "So hot, finally getting some action. This scene is intense." And here comes the predictable lights out moment. "Aw, I want to crawl under their bed and watch them go wild." "Geneva, after all this wait, you give me a blackout screen. Refund, refund." Mommy and Daddy, I'm born. When I woke up the next day, it was almost noon. The scattered clothes had already been tidied by Kevin. Seeing me awake, he looked slightly flustered, a rare sight, while brushing my teeth. I noticed faint hickeys dotting my skin from collarbone to abdomen, even along the inner thighs. TSK, what a stealthy flirt. I met Winnie again 3 months later. By then, I'd purchased my dream gallery and was busy planning its operations. She invited me to meet at a nearby cafe. Upon arrival, I found her sipping 2 cups of hot Americano. Frowning, I flagged down a waiter to order bubble tea instead. Smiling faintly, Winnie took another sip of coffee. "You've changed. Remember how you stopped drinking bubble tea once I said it's unhealthy and beneath us? What do you want?" I didn't think there was anything left to discuss between us. Setting her cup down, she exhaled deeply. "I'm getting a divorce." "What?" Even the comment stream buzzed with shock. Surprised. I never liked Jasper anyway, especially after he hit me that day. "You saw it during the auction, didn't you?" Before I could respond, Winnie continued unprompted. "It feels great actually. Divorcing means I can move cities and never see you again. Honestly, it's not just you who dislikes me. I've always disliked you too." Winnie explained that ever since I returned, she'd felt insecure, finding solace only in repeatedly outshining me. After marrying Jasper, they formed an alliance driven by shared resentment. One jealous of his older brother, the other disdainful of her non-blood-related sister. But when I stopped competing with Winnie, they lost their foothold in meddling with my life. Coupled with the hefty breach of contract fees looming over them, cracks widened in their marriage. Now that I've made this decision, I feel strangely relieved. As though I've finally found myself. Anyway, why am I telling you all this? Saying goodbye, Winnie added before leaving. Looking back, I guess I owe you more apologies than regrets. At least now, we'll never have to meet again. Watching her retreating figure, a twinge of melancholy surfaced within me. Later, the comment stream vanished entirely from my life on the day Winnie filed for divorce. When focus shifts away from one person, no one is inherently destined to remain a supporting character. Spring blossoms framed the window as I stepped out of the gallery. Kevin approached hand in hand with Zoe. "Nancy," he said, "we're here to take you home," and I knew the script had finally veered off course, steering toward our own journey of happiness. Epilogue. Kevin first met Nancy at a banquet. She trailed awkwardly behind Mrs. Cater, forcing herself to mingle despite discomfort. During dinner, Winnie silently embarrassed her using cutlery, biting her lip. Nancy stubbornly requested chopsticks. Intrigued, Kevin also asked for a pair. Sensing the tension, others at the table subtly followed suit, easing the awkwardness. Though he'd helped her, Nancy secretly glared at him when no one was looking, a moment that reminded him of a stray cat he'd once encountered in the garden, offering it treats. The kitten hissed at him while munching greedily. From then on, Kevin found himself instinctively keeping tabs on her. Later, when the Carter family expressed interest in an alliance with the Tyler clan, Kevin hesitated. Learning they'd chosen Winnie, he outright rejected the proposal. To his surprise, Nancy approached him proactively afterward, clumsily outlining mutual benefits and suggesting she could aid him in contesting the family inheritance. In that instant, he chuckled quietly to himself. Growing up under his grandfather's care, Kevin had learned to suppress emotions, resulting in a reserved demeanor. After his grandfather passed, he moved back in with his parents, who openly doted on their lively younger son. Understanding Nancy's pain and frustration, he chose to indulge her quirks, knowing that even if things didn't turn out perfectly, he'd always stand by her side. One day, Nancy seemed to awaken from her obsession. Happiness, which had strayed far off course, finally stumbled back toward him. At that moment, Kevin kissed Nancy softly and confessed, "I know I'm not the kind of guy girls usually like. Quiet, dull, lacking charm. Thank you for agreeing to marry me." Chuckling, Nancy replied teasingly, "Your self-assessment needs work, but you're welcome." For the rest of their lives, she would continue saying those words. "You're welcome." After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, let's continue to see another similar story. I've been the female lead in a torture novel for 10 years. The president took my kidney and I went to jail in place of the second female lead. When I finished my sentence, my mom came. Yes, my hot-tempered mom from the real world. I'm out of prison. When others get out, they're overjoyed, like they've been reborn. But me, I was clawing at the gates, refusing to budge no matter how much the two police officers tugged. Are you kidding me? Frank, that jerk, was right across the street, with his go-to green tea sitting in the passenger seat. I'd already suffered enough in the past decade. Every time I got close to Frank, the plot would trigger, and he'd torture me until I wished I was dead, and there was no way to refuse. Otherwise, I'd be controlled, forced to follow the plot. When I first arrived in this world, I didn't understand the rules. I didn't cook for Frank while running a high fever, and then everything went black. When I woke up, that jerk was on top of me, his eyes cold yet burning with desire. Frank smirked. "Woman, you started the fire, now you have to put it out." Oh, God, this was absolutely terrifying. I immediately scrambled off the bed and called the family doctor in the middle of the night, asking him to put out the fire for Frank. Before I could finish, my phone was snatched away. Frank grabbed my wrist, his eyes narrowing threateningly, playing hard to get. "That trick won't work on me. You had the guts to drug my food, so you should know the consequences." He pushed me back onto the bed. Later, I don't want to think about what happened later, but I must emphasize, the drugs were put there by the second female lead. Yet, because of my physical high fever and Frank's extreme lust, I ended up staying in the hospital for half a month. So, even though Frank was nothing but a pile of crap in my eyes, I still had to hold my nose and kiss him. Finally, I endured until the scapegoat session and reformed myself in prison. I was, actually, only sentenced to 5 years. And even got commuted for good behavior. Damn it, I should have known better than to work so hard at the sewing machine. I suddenly turned to the police officer, tearfully shouting, "I'm guilty. I want to turn myself in. Please arrest me and take me back." The police officer said, "You've been so happy sewing every day because you wanted to get out early, right? Everyone knows it's for your boyfriend. Is that your boyfriend over there? He's looking at you. Go to him," I wailed. "I just love labor. What's my mistake?" Out of the corner of my eye, Frank had already gotten out of the car impatiently and was crossing the road toward me. My body trembled slightly, and despair welled up. Just then, Frank was hit by an electric scooter. I gasped. My stunned gaze shifted from Frank to the scooter owner's face. I stammered, Mom. The word felt foreign. The original body was a sadistic novel heroine, with both parents dead. I hadn't called Mom in years. The last time was at Frank's family dinner, when he made me pretend to be his girlfriend and call his mother Mom, but as soon as I uttered half the word, I got slapped hard, and Mrs. Fu told me to get out. I closed my eyes, unsure if I was dreaming, until the middle-aged woman on the scooter frowned and shouted loudly, "You still remember I'm your mom, just because you lost 2 of your cards. You ran away from home for 10 years, come here now." Before my mind could react, my body instinctively stepped forward, swung onto the back of the scooter, and hugged my mom's plump waist. I retorted, "What do you mean, just lost 2 cards? Those were my idol's limited edition official trading cards. I spent ages getting them." I paused, then clicked my tongue, "But whatever, since I'm finally close to you in this dream, I'll reluctantly forgive you." I hugged her waist tightly, cautiously pressing my face against her back, just like when she used to take me to school in winter, and I'd shield myself from the wind against her. I choked up. "What should I do, Mom? Someone's forcing me to date a piece of shit." Frank, who had just climbed up from the ground with a dark expression, "My mom. What do you think? If you like it, stick incense in the shit and worship it. If not, stuff him back up his mother's ass." Thinking of Frank's mother's haughty and mean face, I nodded in agreement. "But Mom, please watch your image in public. Don't be too rude." "Frank, Jenny, you..." I clamped my hands over my ears. "La la la, I can't hear you." Too late. A semi-transparent screen appeared before me, scrolling a bold black script. Frank says, "Jenny, don't be ungrateful. I came to pick you up myself. What more do you want?" Jenny says, "Frank, please don't do this. I'll do anything you say. Don't be angry." My lips trembled. Before I could speak, my mom twisted the scooter's handle and sped off, leaving Frank in a cloud of dust. After 10 years of time traveling, obedience to the plot was almost ingrained in me. This accident terrified me. Clutching my mom's clothes, I said hoarsely, "What do I do? Mom, I'm dizzy again. When I wake up, I'll be in Frank's bed. No, Sarah will have someone blind me, and I'll be cornered by gangsters in an alley." My mom cut off my rambling. "Julia, you're the 19th generation single heir of our family. Your dad is an elementary school teacher. Your mom runs a convenience store, and you live at 1001, Building 2, Sunshine Garden." I said, "Mom, we live in JX Garden." She replied, "Just remember that." I fell silent, my brain growing dizzy. Here it was again, the feeling of being manipulated by the plot. I pressed my forehead against her back and whispered, "Save me, Mom, I'm Julia. I remember, my dad is a teacher, my mom runs a store, and we live at JX Garden, Building 3, Room 501, so I must not be Jenny, the one who gets blinded, has her kidney harvested, is gang raped, and still ends up happy with Frank." I woke up wearing blue rabbit pajamas. When did Frank start having such terrible taste? I disdainfully pulled at my clothes. The door creaked open, and my heart sank instantly. Sure enough, what must come will come. What kind of plot is this now? Frank beating me up and then throwing out a line, "Don't fantasize about things that aren't yours." Or maybe the green tea second female lead walking in, mocking me for seducing men and being shameless. Or a slightly plump figure squeezed in through the doorway, beef pies and porridge in her left hand, broom and dustpan in her right. Oh, it's just my mom. While I was still lost in thought, my mom had already walked over. "Try the beef pie I just made. It's definitely good." I sat on the edge of the bed munching on the pie, absent-mindedly asking, "Mom, how did I get back here? Am I still dreaming? Is it a double dream?" My mom swept while facing away from me. "I snatched you back from Frank." A piece of pie got stuck in my throat, my mom said nonchalantly. "I also told him that 20 years ago it was Jenny who saved him from kidnappers, and it had nothing to do with other women." I stared blankly. My mom hit hard. She continued, "You want to see him? He's kneeling outside the door." She swept near the bed. "Lift your feet. He insisted on giving you his kidney back." So I agreed, "But you should wait till tomorrow for the surgery." After eating such a big pie, anesthesia might cause reflux and suffocation. I said, "Oh." After I finished eating the pie, I swung my legs while sitting on the edge of the bed. "Mom, can you get me a piece of paper?" My mom responded with exasperation, "Are you some kind of princess? Can't you get it yourself?" I held up my 2 greasy hands and awkwardly got off the bed. "All right then, Where did you put the paper? I'll find it myself. My mom opened the bedroom door and then the living room door right across from it. That's when I unexpectedly locked eyes with Frank. My mom pointed with a broom to the outside. Isn't that it, Miss Priss? Your sticky note is just right for wiping your hands. I hesitated. Is this really okay? It's a handmade shirt worth over $10,000. Before I could finish speaking, Frank, who had been kneeling on the ground, suddenly stood up and strode towards me. Jenny, you finally agreed to see me. I knew you would. He tripped and fell flat on his face in front of me. I had intended to push Frank's hand away, but accidentally pressed down on his back. The once clean and tidy shirt now bore several fingerprints. I guiltily glanced at my mom, our eyes communicating. Don't think I didn't see you sticking your foot out to trip him. My mom shrugged, unabashed. It's good to save some paper for the household. Toilet paper costs money too. Fortunately, Frank was too emotionally overwhelmed to notice my mom's actions. He knelt on one knee, gripping my hand tightly. Jenny, I found out everything. That little girl from back then was you, wasn't she? You told me to run first, and you were caught by the kidnappers. What happened to you afterward? Are you all right? I smacked my lips, savoring the taste of the beef pie, and recited my lines in a tired voice. So that boy was you. I'm glad you're all right. Don't worry about me. I only sustained minor injuries. How annoying. This plot line has come early. The male and female protagonists resolve their misunderstandings and confess their feelings to each other. Next they should be rolling around happily in bed. I turned my head and sized up the room. A small broken bed, only 1.2 meters wide, with a duvet cover featuring a jumping pleasant goat giving me a wise smile. Frank, dressed in a suit, looked quite out of place here. Suddenly, my mom interrupted what I was about to say. Jenny is fine, she just broke 2 ribs saving you. Was sold by the kidnappers, and then abused by her adoptive father. At 10, she was sent to an orphanage. After 10 years of hard work, she got into college, but then you kept her as a mistress and gave one of her kidneys to someone else. I signaled to my mom. Ahem, this is supposed to be a cheesy CEO romance novel. Mom, don't go blabbing too much. Frank shuddered, looking pained. Jenny, are you still mad at Linda for borrowing your kidney? It wasn't intentional. How about I give you mine as compensation? I stared at the light screen above his head and continued to recite my lines expressionlessly. No, I don't want it. I don't need you to compensate me like this. My mom interjected. Tomorrow we'll do the transplant surgery. Mr. Frank, remember to eat well and stay strong. Isn't there a risk of choking if you eat before surgery? My mom remained calm. Don't worry. Even if he dies, we can still take the kidney. Frank probably misunderstood something and earnestly nodded. Thank you, mother-in-law, for your concern. I will. I quietly covered my head. Frank, I feel dizzy. Can you please leave for a moment? It wasn't a lie. It was just that my mom's interruptions ruined the plot again. And once more, I felt that force taking control of me. But Frank wouldn't let go of my wrist. It's all right, Jenny, no matter what happens, I'll stay with you. I couldn't hold on any longer and rolled my eyes. Only this time, it seemed somehow different. I began to clearly realize that I am now a girl protected by my mom, simply called a mom-protected girl. I woke up crying. Frank, being the male protagonist of a novel, was surprisingly enduring in some aspects. I rowed a small dilapidated boat, forced to toss and turn in the vast sea, until a gentle lullaby drifted from afar. At that moment, I suddenly felt so sad that I burst into tears, twisted, gnawed, crawled darkly. I gnawed and gnawed and gnawed until I gnawed Frank chest flat. Turns out, I chewed through a mouthful of buckwheat husks. I blinked and realized I was still lying on the 1.2 meter bed, drooling all over my pillow which I had bitten through, spilling its stuffing, clumsily pinching the wound on the pillow. I turned my head to find my mom sitting on a small stool beside the bed, knitting an ugly sweater under the dim bedside lamp. My voice choked up as I spoke. Mom, I don't know how to sew pillows. What should I do? My mom knitted a couple more rows, glanced at me. Look at you. You can't do anything. Leave it there. I'll sew it later. I muttered and, hugging my legs and shrinking into the corner against the wall. After suppressing my emotions for a while, I mumbled unhappily, Mom, stop knitting. Let's talk for a bit. My mom lifted the half-finished sweater, measured it against me, then lowered her head to continue knitting. Talk then. It doesn't affect my knitting. The weather will soon turn cold. Even if you're feeling down, you still need to wear a thick sweater. I yawned, wanting to ask my mom how she came to this world, but sleepiness weighed heavily on my eyelids. in my drowsy state, I heard that lullaby again. The lyrics were familiar, the voice was familiar, such a terrible lullaby. It really sounded like my mom singing. Mom might not understand why I'm sad, but she'd give up her beauty sleep to stay by my bedside, knitting an ugly sweater for me. The next day was surgery day. My mom held my hand, Linda held Frank's hand. As the second female lead and green tea villain, Linda cried beautifully, "Frank, it's all my fault. You must come out safely. You love my chicken soup the most. I'll make it for you every day after the surgery." Frank looked moved, turning to look at me. "Jenny, look at how gentle and kind Linda is, after the surgery, when we no longer owe each other anything. I'm sure you two can become friends." My mom suddenly understood, seriously telling me, "I thought he wanted to pursue you. It turns out he's atoning for someone else, so you have 2 more years in prison, and he'll definitely serve them for you, right?" Frank went silent. Before entering the operating room, Linda was still sobbing. "Frank, let me take your place." "All right, it's my debt, not yours. Why should you pay it back? You haven't done anything wrong," my mom kindly asked her. "Do you also think you have an extra kidney? Then give it back to me. Auntie isn't very healthy." Linda also went silent. Frank pondered for a moment, insightfully saying, "Linda, if mother-in-law really wants it, why don't you give it to her? After all, that kidney originally belonged to Jenny." Linda shot me a resentful glance and ran away crying. Finally, my mom looked at me. I feigned weakness. "Dear Mom, now that you've scolded them, you're not allowed to scold me anymore, okay?" My mom smoothed my hair. "Mom bought you a gift. If you don't cry during the surgery today, it's yours." I pouted, dissatisfied. "What is it, Mom? I'm not a 3-year-old kid. Don't treat me like one." But I still entered the operating room full of anticipation. When I woke up, my face was soaked with water. The doctor was wiping my face, rather roughly. I recognized him. He was Frank's doctor friend. Back then, he fell in love at first sight with pitiful Jenny and pitied her deeply. After I arrived here, our relationship remained good, though somehow we became drinking buddies. He splashed water on my face and scolded me. "What are you talking about? I have medical ethics. You started crying hysterically after being put under general anesthesia. Not my fault." I was skeptical. "Really? What did I say?" The doctor dug his ear. Annoyed, "You loudly sang some labor song, rallying all the prisoners to sew with you. Everyone upstairs and downstairs could hear, driving me nuts." I coughed a bit awkwardly. "Still, no reason to cry." The doctor shrugged. "Who knows what you remembered? Crying and shouting about living in Unit 2, Floor 1001, flipping garden. You even asked your mom to guess if you were Julia or Jenny." I closed my eyes helplessly. "Fine, you can shut up now, doctor. Then I'll go." I waved my hand, signaling him to scram. The doctor casually added, "Friendly reminder. Avoid doing that thing with Frank during recovery if you don't want to die in bed." "Julia." With that, he left. I watched his retreating figure and smiled faintly after a while. It turns out that in this world, aside from me, there are others who clearly know that I am not her. I waited in the hospital room for half a day. Instead of my mom, Linda showed up. She crossed her arms and looked at me with sarcasm. "Jenny, do you really think revealing the truth from back then will make Frank fall in love with you? We grew up together. If it weren't for my illness requiring a kidney, he wouldn't have intentionally kept you around. So what if I pretended to be you and claimed that I saved him when we were kids? You don't know, do you? Frank's mother likes me a lot, and we're about to get engaged." I weakly replied, "Oh, okay, maybe because Frank has weak kidneys." I felt very weak and had to humor her, staring at the script light screen above her head. I said faintly, "So it was you who deceived him. How could you do this? I'm going to expose your true colors to Frank." Linda sneered. "Do you have any evidence? Do you think Frank will believe you?" Before her words faded, my mom suddenly appeared, shaking her phone. "I recorded everything. You must invite me to your engagement ceremony. I'll loop it then." Linda stormed off furiously. My mom sat by my bedside. "I brought you some porridge. And, where have you been?" I interrupted her. A sense of grievance flowed within me inexplicably. I knew I shouldn't vent my anger on Mom, but I couldn't help but snap at her impatiently. "Don't you know how much I detest her? Why didn't you stop her?" My mom was taken aback. "I went back to cook porridge for you and got delayed a bit while getting a gift." I bit my lip and deflated. "Oh," I sniffed and pretended nothing happened. "What kind of gifts do you even pick? Surely not another pleasant goat doll, right?" My mom, "Of course not. You once said you didn't like them." I couldn't help but tease, right? And the next year for my birthday, you gave me Bear Big and Bear 2, this time. It's definitely something you'll adore. My mom took out a small card, Tada. The card featured a member of a certain boy band. With dark circles under his eyes and blue eyeliner, the holes in his pants bigger than the holes in my heart, my mom proudly said, like it, I know you like these, trendy boys. I fell silent. The reason I traveled back in time this time was because my mom accidentally threw away my trading card. After an argument, I ran away from home and got into a car accident. My mom really tried hard to fit into my circle, but I really didn't like the non-mainstream style. I sighed, Mom, I want to drink porridge. My mom started feeding me with a small spoon. I smacked my lips and said listlessly, too bland. I don't feel like drinking it. My mom scooped another spoonful. It's not plain porridge. This one is called 8 Treasure Rabbit Ding. This one is called Scallion Beef. This spoon, sauce chicken. After finishing a bowl of porridge, I burped, Mom, your Manchuhan Imperial Feast is really good. During my hospital stay, I quarreled with the doctor one day. I didn't perform well and lost the argument, so we parted ways unhappily. I glared at his back resentfully, suddenly recalling the events on the day of the surgery. Curious, I asked my mom, my appearance now is quite different from before. How did you recognize me? My mom said, of course I would, you're my child. I'd recognize you even if you turned to ashes. I rested my chin and asked, what if I turned into a rat? Would you poison me? My mom thought for a moment, then I'd turn into a cat. No bad cats except me can get close to you. I asked again, what if I turned into a cockroach? Would you squash me with a slipper? My mom hesitated, that's uncertain. I pouted, you don't love me anymore, do you? My mom sighed, why are you being so persistent? I huffed, enjoying pestering her with questions. What if I turned into a beautiful and cute little princess and accidentally ended up at our house? Would you secretly keep me or send me back for money? My mom flicked my forehead and said grumpily, aren't you already enough of a princess? You don't cook, you don't sweep, all you do is eat. I giggled mischievously. Sometimes I think, if I were a princess, then my mom would definitely be a knight. She would always protect me. If I were captured by a dragon, the knight would cross mountains and rivers, sparing no effort to save me. This world might abandon me, but Mom never would. I was discharged from the hospital. Taking advantage of Linda and Frank's entanglement, I moved into my mom's place overnight. Now it's just our little two-person household. My mom takes care of tidying up the house, cooking, and looking after me during my recovery period. I cling to my mom to cause trouble, sell swords, and then get scolded. My mom was peeling potatoes in the kitchen, and I wriggled over like a maggot, twisting around her. Mom, what's for dinner tonight? My mom, what do you want to eat? Stir-fried shredded potatoes, or potato and eggplant, or potato and green beans stew. I kicked off my cotton slippers and hopped on one foot to retrieve them. I don't want to eat any of those. I just want to die. My mom made the final decision. Then stir-fried shredded potatoes it is. I said, okay. I circled around my mom a few times and asked in surprise, Mom, it's been 10 years. Why do you still look the same? My mom paused in her movements, the knife suddenly veering off course, creating a blood groove on her joint. I jumped in shock, scrambling to find the first aid kit. How could you be so careless? Hang on, I'll go get the medicine. But I heard my mom say behind me, I know Frank has been contacting you. Go see him. I was both anxious and irritated. This has nothing to do with you. Let's treat the wound first. After I applied the medicine, my mom spoke again. I took him out of your contact blacklist. Julia, you should still. I interrupted incredulously. Mom, you went through my phone. I told you not to meddle in this. You don't know anything. Why are you interfering? Mom wanted to speak. Julia, I know, I said. Enough. I don't want to hear it. Stay out of this matter, and never touch my phone again. With a sullen face, I stormed back to my room. Just as I was about to slam the door shut, I hesitated and closed it gently. Then I threw myself onto the bed. Mom really overstepped this time. How dare she interfere with my affairs with Frank? She doesn't understand how much I hate him, but I shouldn't have been so harsh with her either. Mom injured herself while peeling potatoes for me. I pouted, my eyes watering. 15 minutes later, Mom called me to eat. I said, coming. There was no stir-fried shredded potatoes on the dining table, but potato and eggplant stew. Mom knows I like eggplants. These days she always stir-fries eggplants for me. And although I've grown somewhat tired of them, I didn't say anything. Frank invited me to a banquet. Since it's an important plot point, I didn't refuse. By now, high society pretty much knows that Frank foolishly fell in love with a common girl, even donating a kidney for her. Though they scoff, they also recognized Frank's sincerity and their attitudes towards me have softened. However, while a corporate heiress was talking to me, Linda broadcasted the contract between Frank and me on a big screen. Yes, the initial contract where he agreed to keep me for my kidney. Then I got splashed with wine by the heiress and fled the scene in a daze. After getting hit by a car and losing my memory, I ran off with the male doctor. This plotline, thinking about it tires me, so I declined Frank's makeup artist and went shopping with my mom early instead. I tried on a dress at the mall, priced at 250 yuan, which exposed my shoulders and back. I awkwardly covered my chest. Mom, isn't this a bit too revealing? My mom rolled her eyes. Are you people so hard to offend? And paid generously, I said. Mom, don't you bargain? My mom was speechless. Do you know how to shop? This is a specialty store, all fixed prices, I said, but she sold it for 250. It feels like she's cursing us. My mom hesitated. In the end, she forcefully went back and refunded 1 yuan. I attended the banquet wearing the dress mom bought me. Frank, however, thought the fabric was too cheap and without asking draped his suit jacket over me. I found it dirty, but thought about it and didn't return it, instead draping it over my arm. When the contract was displayed on the big screen, the daughter of the Lincoln family approached me elegantly holding a glass of champagne. I said, wait a moment, then I put on Frank's suit jacket. You can splash now. The lady was completely baffled. She didn't get the chance, because the voiceover of the contract sounded strange. It was the recording of my conversation with Linda in the hospital room. Linda admitted personally that she had taken credit for saving his life. I noticed from afar that Frank's expression instantly turned sour. Before he could notice, I quickly snatched the champagne from the lady's hand, poured it all over Frank's suit, returned the glass to her, and said, mission accomplished, I'll leave first. I tossed the suit aside and hurriedly left the scene, laughing to death. Such a nasty thing is obviously my mom's doing. I need to run fast, so Frank doesn't discover the clue. Even though I was extremely cautious, I still got hit by a car as the plot demanded. The doctor found me. When I woke up, the doctor introduced himself. Hey, you have some blood clots in your brain and lost your memory. I'm your good buddy. By the way, your name is Julia, and I think you live at Sunshine Garden, Building 2, Apartment 1001. You can stay with me until you recover. My mind was completely blank, and something felt off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. This doctor looked familiar, but I didn't really like him. That feeling, no surprise, probably meant he was one of my shady friends, so I settled in comfortably. The doctor's house was huge, so he hired a housekeeper to clean and cook. For some reason, I thought the housekeeper was beautiful and loved sticking close to her. Every day, I buzzed around her, fidgeting non-stop, but she never got mad. It must be because I'm just too cute. I overheard the doctor talking to the housekeeper. The doctor said, have you thought this through? Are you really going to hide everything from her? The housekeeper replied, yes, Julia's impulsive. I'm afraid if she knows, she won't leave. It's better to let her finish the rest of the storyline while she has amnesia, and then we can send her home, the doctor said. Makes sense. She's such a mama's girl. If she knew about you, she'd definitely refuse to leave. I was utterly confused, but I vaguely understood one thing. The housekeeper was probably my mom. Life, funny how things work out. In broad daylight, I got kidnapped. Along with me, there was a handsome young man. The man had stern features, but his eyes reddened the moment he saw me. Jenny, what are you doing here? What does that crazy woman, Linda, want? I had no idea what he was muttering about and just asked worriedly, are your eyes red because of conjunctivitis or pink eye? His eyes filled with complicated emotions. Jenny, you've changed so much. I thought he was mentally unstable and didn't dare say more. Then a woman walked in, her expression wild. Frank, aren't you madly in love with Jenny? You even destroyed my father's company for her, driving me to ruin. Now I'll let you watch as she gets played with by someone else. The man next to me panicked instantly. Linda, whatever you want, take it out on me, don't hurt Jenny. I looked around and timidly asked, who's Jenny? No one answered me. The two of them glared at each other, and a group of bald men entered the room. They approached slowly, and just before I was about to scream, they stopped in front of the man. Then they pinned him down. An eerie silence fell over the room. I suddenly realized, oh, so you're Jenny, huh, buddy? His expression shifted from confusion to panic. I hesitated, looking at the crazed woman. It seems like this has nothing to do with me. Whatever happens next probably isn't suitable for me to see. So can you let me go? The crazed woman froze for a moment, then burst into laughter. Though it sounded more like crying, so that's how it is. You were both bought off by that person, huh, Jenny? You sure are lucky. All these years, Frank went insane looking for you. He even ruined my family for you. And now you've forgotten everything, and that doctor's protecting you. Ha ha ha, she laughed and cried, clearly not in her right mind. I glanced around, realizing no one was paying attention to me, so I quietly slipped away along the wall. It was an abandoned underground warehouse. When I reached the door, the doctor was waiting for me. He untied the ropes and said casually, "Congratulations, Julia, you're free now, everything's over." I stepped out of the warehouse into the sunlight and turned back. But the doctor hadn't moved. I waved at him. "What are you standing there for? Let's go. Auntie made braised pork ribs for us." But the doctor shook his head and smiled. "Safe travels, Julia." After the warehouse kidnapping, all the key dramatic plot points ended. What followed was long-term sweet romance. My role in the story was complete, and when I returned home, I remembered everything. But Mom didn't come back. Every morning, I sat by my bed, counting the clock, waiting for Mom to call me to wake up. Before, at exactly 7:15 every morning, Mom would call me to get up. Then we'd eat breakfast, and I'd go to class. Oh, right. The time flow between the two worlds must be different. I spent 10 full years in the novel, but in reality, only a year had passed since my accident. No wonder Mom didn't look much older. Before I left, I was a sophomore. When I came back, I continued as a junior, because I was a mama's girl. I chose a university just one street away from home, so I lived at home every day. I figured Mom must have been delayed somewhere, so she'd be back later. I waited day after day. At first, I woke up 10 minutes early, waiting for Mom to call me and show her my neatly made bed, proof that I was being diligent today. Later, I stayed up all night, listening to the ticking clock, afraid of missing any sound of the door opening, until I collapsed from exhaustion and ended up in the hospital. Dad came to visit me. He didn't say anything, just handed me 2 books. The first was the tragic novel I had crossed into. The second was Dad's notebook on constructing a space-time bridge. I always knew Dad used to be a researcher, but after his life's work was stolen by his disciple, he gave up and became an ordinary elementary school teacher. I couldn't understand his notes, but the conclusion on the last page was clear. Mom had gone to that tragic world, but differently from me. I had only crossed over in consciousness, completing key plot points before returning. But Mom had gone in her physical body, a one-way trip, irreversible. I dropped the notebook on the floor, staring at Dad in confusion. So, Dad's face was pale but calm. "I tried to stop your mom, but she insisted on going to help you. Julia, don't be too upset. This was your mom's choice." I paused, then suddenly thought of something, grabbing his sleeve. "You're not my dad." Dad frowned, a little helpless. "Julia, don't act out. Your mom wouldn't want to see you like this." I shook my head fiercely. "No, Lucy isn't my mom either. I'm an orphan. I don't have parents. I was wrong, Dad. No, Uncle. Send me back. I'm Jenny. I need to return to my original world. Frank is still waiting for me. We're supposed to spend our lives together. When I go back, Mom will come home, right? I'm leaving now. Go pick Mom up." With that, I jumped off the hospital bed and ran toward the exit. "Right, I'm Jenny. I spent 10 years entangled with Frank. I slept with him, gave him a kidney, and served time in prison for his true love. Why can't I be Jenny? If everything goes back to the start, if I get into a car accident again and return to Frank's side, he'll give Mom back to me, right?" After all, in those 10 years, I often couldn't tell who I really was anymore. I burst out of the hospital, about to run onto the road, when suddenly I was pulled back into a tight embrace. I glared angrily at him, only to see a face that was both familiar and strange. I froze, clutching at him like a lifeline. "You're the doctor from the novel. If you can come out, then where's my mom?" He pulled me back onto the sidewalk but slowly shook his head. "You're mistaken. I'm not the doctor. I'm just a writer." Looking closer, he really didn't look like him. My heart sank. But the young man smiled faintly. "But I know a way. Maybe it can bring your mom back." The method he spoke of was to move Frank, the protagonist of the novel, the chosen one of that world, the fixed coordinate, As long as he was willing to spend time with Mom, Dad could find the path and rebuild the bridge. I contacted Frank and Mom through the comments section of the original book. At first, I tried to trade myself for Mom, but Mom scolded me mercilessly. So I had to find another way. I started writing love letters to Frank, one every day, pouring out my feelings. He remained unmoved. Later, unable to bear it, I spent a year relentlessly attacking him in the comments section, hurling insults and cursing his entire family. Finally, after a year, he replied with a single sentence, "Jenny, did you ever love me?" I replied instantly, I love you so much," he said. "I don't believe you." In the end, I could only ask in despair, "Frank, what do you want to hear?" He didn't reply. One sleepless night, staring at the full moon outside my window, I suddenly remembered the first time I met Frank. Maybe it was the lingering emotions from Jenny's body, but sometimes, when I couldn't tell where I ended and she began, I'd feel fleeting moments of love. Under the control of the plot, I mechanically endured day after day. Occasionally, I felt like a walking corpse. But I'd draw a little warmth from Frank. It was a clear reminder that I was still alive. Leaning against the balcony railing, I pulled out my phone, hesitating and editing for a long time before finally sending, "Actually, Frank, I didn't hate you at first." The clock struck midnight. It was Mid-Autumn Festival, a time for reunion. A knock on the door suddenly rang out. My hand trembled, and for some reason, I knew it wasn't Dad. A voice came from outside, "Julia, I brought back the sweater I knitted for you. I don't know if it still fits." I cracked a smile, and my phone and tears fell to the floor together. "Thank you this time, you rotten Frank." After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.